Hello and welcome back into the RGVSports.com RGV Hoops podcast, the half playoff edition, I guess I'm going to call it. That's about right.
The girls' playoff edition.
Yeah, there you go. We have our girls basketball beat writer, Jon LaFollette, here.
Hey Greg, have you been to Red Lobster lately?
And we have our boys basketball beat writer, Mario Aguirre, here.
Oh, Greg, I'm under the weather still, but...
Seriously, have you been to Red Lobster?
Mario got I'm not going to answer this. Mario got a little more I got a little healthier since last week, and Mario got a little more sick. Jon has managed to dodge it completely.
I'm fine.
I think it's the weather. What do you think got you sick right now?
I shower before I leave my house, so I think that had to do with
You know what always helps me feel better? Going to Red Lobster.
Okay, so you really want to talk about Red Lobster, huh?
Yeah. Have you not heard the new Beyonce song?
No.
She says that she'll take you to Red Lobster if you do a certain thing for her. This is a family program, so I won't say what that certain thing is, but look it up. She'll take you to Red Lobster.
Jon, that's not PG.
I mean, I didn't say what it is.
All right.
Anyway, I want to go to Red Lobster with Beyonce.
You have backed me into an impossible corner.
Okay, I'll let you get out of your corner. You can talk about your health issues.
Just turning it over to me is the way out? Okay. So I actually just want to get into some girls basketball talk because it's playoff time, right? Exciting.
Yeah, this is what all the games are for.
So you need to get me up to speed. We'll go district by district because I have some interesting things I want to ask about in terms of how we managed to get where we are and to set the matchups that are set.
Okay.
So let's talk about how the regular season ended before we look ahead to some of the matchups we have here. How did Edinburgh North end up taking the final spot in 31-6A?
Their path to the playoffs was pretty black and white, I should say. If they beat Edinburgh Econ and Weslaco High beat Weslaco East, they were in, and that's exactly what happened here. So so congratulations to Edinburgh North, first of all. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Weslaco East got that 4 seed. If Econ had won and Weslaco East had won, if Econ had won and Weslaco East had lost, it would have set up a 3-way tie. That never happened. So now Edinburgh North, gets to play Harlingen High in the first round.
Is that what you expected? I forget what we said last
Yeah, that's what I expected because Weslaco East, they had to play Edinburgh High and Weslaco High back-to-back to get into the playoffs. They had to win one of those 2 games. Hats off to the Lady Wildcats. I mean, they lost both those games by, I think, combined 5 or 6 points. It was really close. I mean, they certainly gave it their all. They played like a team that, had their season on the line already, but ultimately just wasn't enough for them. But congrats to the Lady Wildcats on their season nonetheless, and congrats to Edinburgh North on making the postseason.
In 32-6A, Brownsville Rivera ended up in over Hanna and Los Fresnos. Was that a surprise?
It was a surprise. I don't know too much about 32-6A other than Harlingen and Brownsville Vets are the top 2 teams in this district. What helped Rivera here, on paper they tied with Los Fresnos 7-7, but Rivera ultimately had the tiebreaker. They swept Los Fresnos, and it didn't matter what Los Fresnos did. All Rivera had to do was win their game against San Benito. So props to them for getting in.
Wasn't Los Fresnos considered like a top 10 team at one point?
At one point, yeah, they were. And then some things didn't go their way once they got to district play. Obviously, they got to play Harlingen twice and Brownsville twice. That's 4 games right there, which is really tough. But they of all the teams that they got swept by, it was Rivera. That was the team they ended up being tied with. Just some things didn't go their way in a series where they had to get at least 1 win.
Going down to 31-5A, Mission Vets and Rio Grande City are in, and Edinburgh Vela and Roma are fighting for the final spot. Now, there's a tie here, right? So why is Rio Grande City safe?
Rio Grande City is safe because, Rio Grande City, Roma, and Edinburgh Vela all finished 7-5. So there's a 3-way tie for the 3rd and 4th seeds. There's 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. Right. Someone's going to get left out. The reason why Rio is safe is because they own the tiebreaker over both teams. They swept Vela and Roma. They're 4-0. They're 4-0 against those 2 teams. They don't have to play them again.
Okay.
So there's going to be a play-in game. Roma versus Edinburgh Vela. These 2 teams split in the regular season. This game will be Friday at 7:30 at Sheringham High School. Winner gets the 4 seed in 31-5A. They will play Mercedes in the bi-district round of the game probably Monday or Tuesday next week.
So I think you would have thought that Rio Grande City would be safe. I guess it ended up being something of a surprise that Mission Veterans ended up with the 2 seed.
I don't want to say surprise, but props to Mission Vets. I've covered both of their games these two game days, Friday and Tuesday, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen from them. Obviously, everyone knows about Ashley Smith for this team, their point guard, who does a lot for them offensively. But they've won against Rio Grande City and Edinburgh Vela, at Vela, by the way. What really impressed me about Mission Vets is their defense. They used to, every time I've talked to Coach Cantu there over the last 2 seasons covering girls basketball, he always makes defense an emphasis for this team. But here in these last 2 games, they've switched from a man team to a 2-3 zone, and teams have just had a really hard time going inside on Mission Vets. They aren't the biggest team, but what height they do have is very athletic and very quick, and they're not pushovers by any means either. So teams are having a really hard time getting to the rim, getting clean shots, and not only with their bigs down low, but you got Ashley Smith, who is a great defender as well. And in this Vela game, you saw her really flummox Jada Muhammad here, and Jada got 16 points, but she took like 15 shots to get there, and there were so many times in that game where she didn't get a clean look because Smith, closed the gap and got a hand in her face to really make that an awkward shot for her. So props to Mission Vets. They're playing probably some of the best basketball of any team in the Valley right now, at least over the last couple of games or so. That's why they're back in the top 10 this week after being out for a couple weeks here.
What do we need to know about the Edinburgh Vela and Roma playing game, and who's going to come out in that one? It seems like Edinburgh Vela has been trending the right direction.
Yeah, well, you say that, but they've lost 2 straight now. They lost to Rio Grande City, and then they lose to Mission Vets. But the last time Roma played at Vela got the better of Roma. They won by 29 points. It was 49-20, something along those lines. Roma did beat Vela earlier in the season. That was without Jada Muhammad. You really saw the difference she made in that second game. But I talked to Coach Rios today over the phone, and I made a note of it in today's issue of the Monitor and RGVSports.com. You can check it out if you want to. Where he said we picked. I guess you never want to lose, but he feels like they got their one bad game where everyone kind of, pooped the bed, as it were, out of the way, and they really feel like, they've got some momentum going their way. They come in winning 2 straight. They beat Pioneer and Valley View, not quite the competition as Rio Grande City and Mission Vets, but, this is what you play for.
So who are you picking?
I'm going to pick Vela. I know that you don't want to pick a team that loses 2 straight going into a play-in game,
right?
But I think Jada Muhammad is a big difference maker for them, and I do want to caveat that the one time I saw Roma play was that Vela game I was at, and I know that they can play better than that, but looking at that team, I don't know how they're going to guard Jada Muhammad one-on-one. Maybe they won't. Maybe they throw something else. Maybe they go into a 2-3 zone like what Mission Vets did and try to fluster them that way. Maybe they try that, but I'm gonna stick with Vela.
In 32-5A, it's going to come down to another playing game, it looks like, with Ed Couch Elsa and Donna High.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Ed Couch. I last week when we talked about this, at least I said Ed Couch was going to beat Donna, and then I said they'd beat him again for this playing game. Just because both teams are 500 in district, but it seems like Ed Couch beat the teams you think they would beat, and then they lost to the teams that you kind of pencil in that maybe they would struggle against. But with Donna, all season long they've been up and down, and I don't know what kind of team they're going to get. I don't know if they're going to get the kind of team where everyone doesn't get along on the court, or if they're going to get the team where everyone's unified and is out there trying to play for the same goal. I don't like that.
Right.
You put that many question marks, I don't like that in a playing game. I'm going to take Ed Couch.
It seems like recently it's been one of the down stretches for them.
Yeah, it really has. And I should note, the winner of Donna Ed Couch, that game is at Donna High School Friday at 6 o'clock, I believe. The winner of that gets Sharyland High School in the first round, at the by-district round.
So there's some things that we still don't know, a lot of things that we still don't know about who's going to play who and when. But what matchup right away jumps out as being intriguing to you of the first round games?
Brownsville Vets and Edinburgh High. That game is on Monday. That game is at Edinburgh High. I think it's 7 o'clock tip. Those are 2 teams that have been in our top 10 poll for RGVSports.com all year long. And you look at Edinburgh High, they just beat PSA North on Friday, and that was a signature win for them. The storyline for Edinburgh High these last 2 seasons is, we're good and we're competitive, but we're still looking for that big signature win that kind of, says, hey, the Lady Bobcats have arrived. And they beat PSA North, led almost the whole game by double digits. And that was at PSA North on their home court. They went on the road and got a big win against a really good offensive team, really shut them down. And then you got to turn around and play Brownsville Vets. And the interesting story with this game is these 2 teams played each other a year ago in the playoffs. Brownsville Vets got the decisive win, 55-33. It wasn't necessarily as close as Edinburgh won at that time, but I think Edinburgh, they've got the same 5 starters back. They're not only just a year older, but they're a year better. Jayla Santa Maria is playing fantastic right now, as is Mercedes Hernandez with 22 points in that game against PSA North. I think for Edinburgh, against PSA North, I guess the thing for Edinburgh is controlling the glass. They have 3 players that average 7 or more rebounds a game, and you want to say for Brownsville, at least defensively for Edinburgh, you want to say, just shut down Jordan Rudd, and that makes it easy. Well, easier said than done. Jordan Rudd's having the best season of her career right now. She's in the top 10 or 15 in all 4 major statistical categories that we run in the Monitor paper. And Brownsville Vets also has other players besides Jordan Rudd. They got 3 players that average 10 points a game, and same with Edinburgh High. They both have depth. They both have skill sets that go across the board. They both have balance. They both have good coaches. This is going to be a really good game, I think. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll get to upset picks when we do upset of the week. But
okay.
I want to know have you looked ahead to any potential second or third round matchups? Is anybody set up to have a good path at this point? Have you looked that far ahead?
I haven't looked that far ahead. I've been trying to look on the UIL website. I don't think that's going to be up to date until all the play-in games and all the seeding games are finished. But from what I understand, if PSA North beats Harlingen South, McAllen Rowe beats Del Rio, it would be Rowe versus PSA North, which I think would be a fantastic matchup as well. I haven't looked that far ahead, but once the UIL has all the brackets put up on their website, I'll be able to get a better idea of who's going to play who looking down the road.
Any teams that finished in the top 2 that could be in for an upset? Anybody who I don't want your upset of the week, but just anybody who drew a scary matchup or anybody who might be
anyone in 32-5A, Mercedes and Brownsville Pace, and this has been a storyline that I've said with this district all year long. I said Mercedes, even like back in January, like a month ago, I said Mercedes is going to go undefeated in this district, and the real question was going to be what happens come the playoffs. They did that. They wiped the floor with this district. They won every game by almost double digits. Not by almost double digits, you know what I mean. They won almost every game by double digits, is what I should say. And now, if Vela wins this play-in game, holy cow! Now you got to go play Vela in the first round. And you got I don't know who on Mercedes is going to guard Jada Muhammad. Mercedes is small. Vela's got some size. They have some athletic size. And then with Brownsville Pace, you look at their record. Yeah, they seem like a good team on paper. I haven't seen them play, so I can't comment on that regard. But this was a team that heading into district play was below 500, and they're in a pretty weak district in terms of depth of talent, because in 32-5A you had 3 teams only get 2 district wins. Meanwhile, in 31-5A you got 3 teams that got 7 district wins. So I think whoever comes out of 31-5A, the 3 or the 4 seed, is going to be battle tested in a way that I don't think anyone in 32-5A has been yet.
Would one of those matchups be your second favorite game to go watch, or is there something else that jumps out when you look at the schedule?
You mean 31-5A, 32A?
Yeah. Would it be one of those, or would it be another 6A game? What else?
I'm intrigued for Rio Grande City, Brownsville Pace, but not necessarily because of X's and O's, because again, I haven't seen Brownsville Pace play, but just because you never know what Rio Grande City team's going to show up. Is it the team where everyone's kind of like with Don, where everyone's engaged, where everyone's out there playing for the same reasons, where Josie Mai's getting hot from the field and kind of dominating her sides, or is it going to be a game where their youth comes into play? This is a team that doesn't have a single starter in starting 5, I believe, maybe 1, and their best player is a sophomore, and this is their first playoff game with that player. Maybe inexperience kind of gets the better of them. And Pace, Rio Grande City has my attention for sure.
Aside from Harlingen High, which is probably too easy of a pick, is there any team that you think should feel pretty safe given their first round matchup?
Man, it's really hard to pick against Weslaco High in the first round. They play Brownsville Rivera. Brownsville Rivera is about a 500 ball club, and 32-6 over there. Props to them for getting to the playoffs, but Weslaco High, it's like clockwork over there. It's different teams every year, but the same goals, and they always end up achieving them. I'm not picking them to lose in the first round by any means, so I think Weslaco's going to get it.
Anything else you want to hit on as we look ahead to the first week of playoffs here?
No.
Next time we talk, it's going to be after the by-district round, but before area?
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, maybe before the area round.
Okay.
We'll figure out how that goes. And there's still our teams who still got to figure out what's going on in terms of, Sherilyn's got to wait on a playing game. Mercedes has to wait on a playing game. Hidalgo and Rio Hondo got to play a seeding game. Even in 3A, we got Edinburgh Idea and Brownsville Idea playing seeding games. So those games are all on Friday. Anything else? I'm trying to think here. I think we've hit all the big stuff. So I think
you want to hit your upset of the week now, or you want to save it for the end?
We'll save it for later. We'll let Mario talk.
All right,
I've talked too
Mario,
much.
you're up. You ready?
I'm going to go to Red Lobster.
Mario's been hard at work over here. I hope preparing some knowledge bombs for you people.
Yes.
Let's talk about, you know what? I'll give you the floor first. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about at the beginning. You got a game of the week or something, or some news you want to hit on off the top, or where do you want to start with this?
I guess news would be just the notebook. Sherry Lynn has made a surprise run in the second half of district. I expected it to come a little bit sooner, considering that they were expecting their 6'6" swingman to come in earlier in the year, but he just got cleared, a couple weeks ago, and since then the team.
And that's what's his name?
Max Oyedvides.
Oyedvides.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Transfer from McAllen Memorial. Coach says he drops 18 points, 15 rebounds a game. I don't know if that's just the number he threw, or if that's really
25 points last game, apparently.
Yeah, he did. And that's a team that really needed size after they graduated 2 of their bigs from last year. Other than that, I don't know if they had a player who was taller than 5'11" or 6 feet. and he's really sparked Sherryland and made things interesting down the stretch because I didn't think that. I thought the playoff picture was set, but they're giving Rome a little bit of a scare as district winds down. So Sherryland and Roma have 2 games remaining each, and they both face Vela. Now, I think most people would pencil that as a loss for both teams, but Sherryland coach David Keith thinks he might be able to surprise some people, or they might be able to surprise some people Friday when Sherryland travels to Vela.
Wow, that's how much he likes this kid, huh?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would just think that there's no chance of that happening, but I think he gives the team a little bit of a different dynamic. And I guess it's a shame for them because he's a senior and they're only going to have him for, this might just be 2 more games that they have with him. But if you take out those Vela games and pencil it in as a loss, Roma might have a little bit of an easier schedule because they face Rio Grande City, which has only won 1 district game all year, whereas Sherryland faces Mission Vets, which has won 2 games. So you want to give the edge to Roma just because they face the easier team in that sense. But then again, I think we've seen upsets just about every week. Just with like La Jolla Palmview needed to win 1 of its last 4 games to clinch a playoff berth, and they lost 2 in a row, including a Tuesday where they lost to Horace Lincoln, which I don't think anyone saw coming because Horace Lincoln has been out of the playoff picture for most of the year.
So despite this run, Sherryland High still needs help to get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it looks good for them, but Coach David Keith at Sherryland was optimistic that they might be able to make things a little bit closer against Vela than people might anticipate.
Interesting. Okay. So now I have to ask you, what do you think would McAllen Memorial's lineup look like if this kid had stayed there?
Oh, they'd have 4 players that are 6'6".
Would they be better than Vela at that point? Or could they not use all of them at the same time?
I don't think they can. I think there has to be some position overlap. Unless you have a 6'7" point guard, but none of these guys play point. So unless they switch DJ Johnson there, which I think he's capable of, but that's just not his natural position.
I don't know. It's sort of irrelevant. I just thought that would be interesting to talk about.
It is.
Now, for 36A, you mentioned Palmview's in trouble here. So can McAllen High hold on to the final spot? Because somebody's coming at them from behind, and is Palmview still safe at number 3? Do you think that they'll win that last game to hold on?
Yeah, I think Palmview, even though they struggled these last 2 games against Rowe, they had Rowe, and then second half Rowe just turned things around. Horace Lincoln, I didn't see that coming. They lost by 2 points. And I think what's likely to happen is Palmview finishes in the 3rd spot.
Who do they play the last 2 games?
Palmview will close. They're going to close Friday against McAllen Memorial.
That's
a tough game for them. And then they'll close out the regular season against Mac High, the number 4 team. So what I think is likely to happen is Palmview will split those games, those 2. They could beat Mac High. And
if they're losing to Horace Lincoln in a row, then I don't know.
I wouldn't expect them.
Rowe's fine, but I mean, if you're losing to Horace Lincoln, then you can lose any of those games or both of them easily.
I don't see them losing 4 in a row. But I mean, I saw it with PSG North, but I don't think Palmview will. What I think might happen is I think there'll be a 3-way tie for 3rd place, just checking out the schedule and seeing how it looks. I think Mac High, La Jolla High, and La Jolla Horace Lincoln could end up with the same record. Mission High.
Who does La Jolla play? Are they going to have to win 2 in a row?
La Jolla High and Horace Lincoln close out the season against one another. Mac High has a bye Friday. So
La Jolla has to have 2 games left, though, right?
Yeah, La Jolla High and La Jolla Horace Lincoln, they both will likely lose Friday, at which point all of them will have a 4-7 record. And then
La Jolla has only got 3 wins, right?
Yeah.
So they'd be 3-8.
Yeah, they'll be 3-8. La Jolla Horace Lincoln will be 3-8. And then Mac High closes against Palmview. No, wait. Yeah, Mac High closes against Palmview. So if they lose, that's 4-8.
So they're all going to go to 4-8, you think? Or one of those teams is going to go to 4-8, whichever one wins when they meet in the last week.
It's tough because, I mean, Horace Lincoln, I would pencil them in for a loss in most games, and yet they picked up their 3rd win of the season against a playoff team. So I think it's kind of difficult to predict this one, but La Jolla High and La Jolla Horace Lincoln play against each other to close out the regular season, so that'll bump one of those teams off. So the winner of that might actually get it. Because La Jolla High, you'd imagine they could lose to Palmview.
Right.
Or they will lose.
So then it looks like the 4 teams that are in now are most likely to be the 4 teams that make it. Still be McAllen High and still be Palmview.
What's the thing? Mac High could finish 4-8. Might finish 4-8.
But then only one of those teams could get to 4-8. It seems like.
Yeah, but I mean, both of the Oof. So it'd be what, 2-way tie?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're
it'd be
looking
2-way
at.
tie. Yeah. So it'd be Mac High against the winner of La Jolla High, La Jolla Juarez Lincoln, and they play a playing game.
I think so. But I think Palmview could probably finish 5 and 7, but they'd probably still be fine. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think that you can even lose the last 2 games and still get in.
Yeah.
And they might do it because the teams that they're facing could be tough. Because then they would still be, then them and Mac High could be tied at 5 and 7. But then, because that's who Mac High plays, right? They play Palmview somewhere in here.
Mac High plays Palmview to close out.
So then they could both end up 5 and 7, but then they would still be ahead of La Jolla High and Juarez Lincoln most likely, unless one of them won out.
So we're going to see a Mac High versus winner of La Jolla Juarez Lincoln playing game. More than likely.
Well, because those 2 would both have to win their next game that's not against each other. Who is that against? La Jolla High and Juarez Lincoln play Tuesday.
Yeah.
And who do they both play Friday?
They're both. I haven't penciled in as losses.
So then they're out.
They're playing Rowe and then Mission High.
Yeah, one of them's going to finish 4 and 8, and one of them's going to finish 3 and 9.
Are you sure they're both 3 and 7?
Yeah, well, you're
Okay,
saying you
so
pencil
you-
one of them in.
yeah,
Well,
so-
okay.
so-
Juarez Lincoln could beat Mission and beat La Jolla High, and they could get to 5 and 7.
True.
That's the only one that I think is a threat.
Yeah.
So you could end up with a 3-way tie of Palmview, Mac High, and Juarez Lincoln. I think La Jolla High beating Rowe seems unlikely. But man, so this is nuts, is
Yeah.
basically the point, is that there's a lot that still has to sort itself out in this district. Now, I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Let's just move over to 31-6A,
Yeah.
where I think for most of the year we thought we had a top 4 set of Westaco High, Edinburgh North, Edinburgh High, and Westaco East. But here we are in the final week, and it looks like PSJ North has a chance to make a play at the final spot.
No chance.
No chance.
No. With all due respect to them, I just think they have the toughest schedule to close out. Westaco East needed to win one of its last 4. They lost 2 in a row. Now they have PSJ North has Westaco High, the district champion, the reigning district champion, and Edinburgh North, the number 2 team.
Okay.
So they play 2 top 10 teams to close out.
And they would need to beat,
One of those 2.
or maybe both, depending.
Yeah. And then Westaco East has Edinburgh High, a fringe. Are they the fringe?
They're the 3rd team, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
And then they also have to play Westaco High. But even that's the thing, is they could still, both of those teams are probably going to lose all of their remaining games, or both of their remaining games. So then that would mean that Westaco East would still be good, the way I look at it. I think we're looking at a PSJ North at 5 and 7 and a Westaco East at 6 and 6.
Excuse me, sorry. Westaco East closed out against PSJ Memorial.
Oh, never mind. Then we're looking
Yeah.
we're looking at Westaco East at 7 and 5 and PSJ North at 5 and 7. So that's even harder.
Yes, I think Westaco East gets in.
Okay, so they seem pretty safe.
Yeah.
Now that they have sort of fallen back from the pack a little bit, it looks like. Is there any concerns with Westaco East, or is it just kind of the way the schedule worked out that they ended up on the 4 spot?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like every week, I'll look at the schedule, and sometimes the team looks good because they win 2 in a row, but they're beating bottom feeders in that case.
Right.
I think Westaco East just had a rough stretch. Westaco East played the Westaco on Tuesday and lost by 4 or 5 points, less than that. So that was a big improvement over the first time when they met, when they lost like by 30 points in the first meeting. So I just think it's schedule. I think every team's going to lose to Westaco High except maybe Edinburgh North. But Westaco East just needs to win one of these 2, and I think it'll be set. And I think it might be, the coach wasn't sure, but when I asked Coach Martinez today, I think he said it might be their first playoff berth since 08 or 09. I can't remember.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, in 32-6A, Harlingen High has the 4th spot at 7 and 5. Hannah and Rivera are both at 5 and 7. Would you think that either team could make a move to get past Harlingen, or do they seem safe?
Hannah Rivera. Harlingen closed against Rivera and Hannah.
Oh, so they play the 2 teams that are right behind them.
Yeah, that are not in the playoffs, but yeah, just right behind them.
Wow, so theoretically they could.
But they're 2.5 games behind them.
Well, I mean, what's important is that they just have to make up. It looks like they're just 2 games back because it's 7 and 5 and 7.
Yeah.
So they just have to make up those 2 games, and I mean, if Harlingen loses both of those, they'll be 7 and 7, and then if Hannah and Rivera win against Harlingen, they'll just need to win their other game, whatever that may be. So I guess that sets up well for those 2 teams to be able to face the guy right in front of them and potentially make a move at it. But
Yeah.
Harlingen would have to lose to 2 teams below it in the standings too. It would take a real collapse. So I think that they seem pretty safe, but there is a path where that could happen. It seems like.
Yeah, because those are full game swings right there each night.
Right. Anyway, over in 31-5A, it looks like Roma and Sharyland High are fighting for the final spot. And then you told me Sharyland has 2 straight wins. We talked about them a lot already, while Valley View has lost 2 straight. So what are we looking at as the way that this is going to shake out? Who do you think is going to end up coming out of into the playoff picture here?
So it'll be Edinburgh Vella, Sharyland Pioneer, Valley View, and then I see Roma. I think Sharyland just has
too much ground to make up.
I mean, even though Mission Vets just has 2 wins and Rio Grande City has 1 win, I still think Mission Vets is a better team than what their record shows, and Sharyland might have a tough time against them.
Now, in 32-5A, I think is interesting that Ed Couch has lost 2 straight and has sort of fallen out of the playoff picture as it stands at this very second, while Donna High is moving up and getting closer towards actually making a run at playoff position. But it is crowded there. They have Porter at 6 and 6, PSJ High at 7 and 5, and then Mercedes and Pace who are safe. So how is this going to play out down the stretch?
See, Eddie Couch also lost 2 in a row, and it dropped them from 4 to 6 just in the last week. Donna closes against PSJ Southwest and Pace, which is the...
So that's 1 win and 1 loss probably.
Yeah, and then Porter has Donna North and EE. Porter should beat Donna North, and EE is a question mark just because on any given day they could challenge the district champ or lose to one of their bottom feeders. So that's...
Who does Ed Couch play the rest of the way? Can you look that up quickly?
Yeah, Ed Couch also on Friday will play Donna High.
Okay.
And then on Tuesday they play PSJ High, which is also in the playoffs.
I think Porter looks like the safe pick here. I mean, kind of easy to pick the team that's already ahead, but they also are ahead and have the easiest schedule the rest of the way, the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Getting to play 2 teams that are below them in the standings. I know Ed Couch, like you said, is kind of up and down and could potentially show up 1 week or not show up the next week. But even if they give them a good game, they should be able to win that other one, and that's all they should need to do to get in. Unless Donna High can win out, but that looks like a tough road for them. So I don't really know how it's going to play out for sure, but that seems like a safe bet at this point.
Word.
Over in 32-4A, we got 2 teams at 10 and 2 in LaFerrier and Hidalgo. Who is the best team who's going to end up winning the district? Well, that's it, right? They're done.
I'm really surprised with Hidalgo that they've been able to string together these wins. This would be their 5th title in a row, I think, their 5th district title. LaFerrier.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They have 2 more games, right?
Yeah, so let's see.
Okay.
So it's LaFerrier. LaFerrier will close against Gruya and Raymondville.
Okay, so we got a last place team and a fringe playoff team.
Yeah. And Hidalgo will close out against Rio Hondo and Progresso.
A playoff team and a not so playoff team. So
And the other one, yeah.
So they both are playing. I mean, unless they're playing each other, it's games they should win. It looks like LaFerrier has the slightly easier road, but they'll probably both finish 12 and 2 the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and I covered the LaFerrier Hidalgo game a couple weeks ago, so I should know this, but I think they... Let's see.
Looks like they lost. I think it'll be interesting to see because, like you talked about, Hidalgo was a team that was super good last year. They had Frankie Sanchez, who was our player of the year, I believe.
The Sanchez.
And for them to have to come back without him and try to make it work this year, it's impressive that they are where they are.
So Hidalgo and LaFerrier, they split the season series.
Okay.
So it'll be one of those things where it's co-district champions, and then they flip for seeding.
Right.
Because
Now,
I don't think they'll play another game for seeding.
the 4th, what do you know about Gruya? Because they're looking like they're going after the 4th spot, but they have to hold off Zapata because Gruya is 7 and 5 and Zapata 6 and 6. I know we don't cover Zapata, but what do we know about Gruya and their chances the rest of the way?
Gruya, I talked to their coach a couple weeks ago. I think they were optimistic that they'd be able to get in the playoffs. I think they even, coming into the year, I think they felt that the district was wide open, considering that Hidalgo graduated all their starters, but Hidalgo made what I would consider to be a surprise run the last few weeks, and Gruya has been able to hang on there. Gruya, I think this might be their first playoff appearance, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how long the program's been around, but I think that's what I remember when I talked to the coach recently. So it'll come down to Gruya Sapat. I think Gruya has 1 game edge, and they who do they play? They play.
You said they play LaFeria, right?
Yeah, so
So
they
that's
play.
not ideal.
Yeah,
But who else do they play? Because they just need to win that one, and they should be all right.
So they'll play Progresso, which is out of Clef team. So
Right.
I think they have the advantage there because I think with that they would be 8-6.
Right, and then
Yeah.
Zapata would have to win twice to tie. Who does
Yeah.
Zapata play?
They play Raymondville. And
That's
Piedmont.
the last place. Oh, well, those are 2 1-11 teams. So Zapata's going to have a chance to close the gap here and tie Gruya, potentially.
Yeah.
And
Another
then
city game.
And then I guess it would come down to a play-in game or...
Yeah, playing.
So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on down at the 4A level.
So we could have playing game in 36A. 31-6A, no. Did we say that one?
I think not. I think we were liking West of the East.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I got lost.
A lot going on. A lot going on.
Absolutely a lot going on. But yeah, as you say, we're coming into the final weekend. There's not a lot of X's and Y's on this sheet for clinched playoff berth and clinched at least a share or clinched outright district titles. A lot that is still up in the air and a lot to be decided. So
There's somewhere I think the coaches will tell you, yeah, we clinched it, which is code for we should win these next couple of games.
Right.
It's not really official. Which you kind of see a lot of, like even though like Palmview hasn't clinched yet, but I mean I think you could pencil them in for winning at least one of these last 4 games.
yeah, we would have thought that at that time, and now it looks a little sketchy.
I mean the 2-point loss against Forest Lincoln does set you back a little bit.
So in terms of the next week, and we talked about that there's a lot of games with significance, what one are you going to have your closest eye on, or what one are you going to be at going forward?
Assuming I don't get sicker.
Right. That's always the caveat.
I mean, Palmview, McAllen Memorial, though McAllen Memorial hasn't lost this year.
Yeah,
so I
they
don't
should
know.
win that one. I don't know.
I don't know if that's interesting. Wesco East needs it, I guess. If they upset Edinburgh North, that makes things a little bit interesting.
Yeah, they would have to do that.
As far as
Who's PSJ North play?
PSJ North plays
Wesco?
High.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
not
lost.
gonna. They're screwed.
Although, if I could be at 2 places at once, I would be curious to check out Sherryland at Vela, just because Coach David Keith, I'm just curious to see how his team turns out.
Right.
Or shows up after just his confidence today. I'm not saying he didn't say they would win, but he just thinks he might be able to surprise some people.
Who does Roma play?
Roma plays Rio Grande City. What was it? The bowl.
Oh, the Snake.
No.
The
Their bowl
Star
game.
County.
Star County
The
Super
battle
Bowl.
for Star County.
Yeah.
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 Star County Hardwood Classic. Let's call
There you
it.
go. There you go.
So you got any other games for me? Anything that is jumping out when you look at the schedule? Seems
I like
like a lot of teams have to either beat people. It's like you're not going to know what the best games are until after they happen, right? Because either it's teams that have to have upsets, or teams that need to get upset, or teams that need to take care of business to set up other scenarios where there's interesting games the next week. So it's hard to say at this point, I think.
A sleeper game that's not in our coverage area is Mercedes at Brownsville Pace. If Mercedes lost the first time around by 2 points, I believe, and if Mercedes wins, they would tie Pace, split the season series, and would be district champions.
Yeah, that's relevant that they could potentially share a district title. That's not a bad deal for them.
That game is in Browntown.
Do you think they have a chance at that one?
Yeah, I mean, they lost by 2 points the first time on the road. Might be a little bit tougher, although I don't know how much stock to put into road games when it's a 60-mile drive.
You mentioned Pace. I want to talk about the bottom of the top 10.
Oh, let me ask you this.
Oh.
As far as like road games, I don't know if you guys buy into it, because sometimes we drive to these road games, and I don't think our stories are worse because we drove.
You never know, dude. Like, what if you are on the road?
Hey, home court advantage is a real thing.
If you're on the road and your laptop dies, or you're hungry, you don't know where to go get food, or you can't find a good seat, or there's no power outlets, it's safer being in the office. You're more secure mentally.
Which is like your press box advantage.
Ooh. I feel really safe in McAllen.
Yeah. You don't like Sherland. Sherland, you're on the road.
Sherland's the worst.
Sherland,
The Westacoke press box is legit.
Yeah, that's true.
Although
it's like there's spacing issues.
Well, until the school board decided that they wanted to
Right.
cut the press box in half because they've got to sit there and never mind.
To make it a luxury suite.
You got a little shades.
Yeah, they made it. Yeah, they got to sit there and eat their veggie trays on the public taxpayers' dime.
Pinky's out.
They got to sit there and eat their veggie trays on the taxpayers' dimes while I'm sitting there trying to work at a bad angle and I can't see a game. So
I want to wear a shirt that says
LOL.
no cheering in the press box.
Well, you never know what you're going to find in the press box. It's just whoever makes
I just want to go to every Roma football game and sit in their sit in the coach's press box. So I can just hear the coaches go, "Aye!" just after every play.
I really love that.
That's my favorite thing.
When they're calling out the plays and getting all amped.
Good
about
play
stuff.
or bad play. Good play or bad play. Aye! It's
I
great.
enjoy that.
It's my
I enjoy
favorite.
that quite a bit. All right, now I did want to talk about on the basketball subject the change in the bottom of the boys' top 10 were 3 new teams here this week. Pioneer, Pace, and Edinburgh High all cracked the list.
Yes.
What happened that they were able to make these spots up? How did they leapfrog whoever was here previously?
It
Which
helped.
looks like it would have been Westaco East, Palmview, and Valley View were the last 3 last week.
Okay, first things first. It helped that the last 3 teams there all lost 2 in a row.
Okay.
That's part of it. Sherland Pioneer, I think they deserve to be there. They've been playing pretty good. Second only to Vell in that district. I think that deserves the top 10 nod. Just the runner-up in any district, I think that's competitive should be there. The other team that also cracked it was Brownsville Pace. I think they're really good. They probably get a little bit overlooked because they're 60 miles away from our offices, but they've been playing good whenever I've seen them. They playoff team last year. Edinburgh High, also formidable team, which has strung together a pretty good run, even though they are pretty undermanned there with like 8 or 9 players and playing a short rotation as it is. So all things considered, I think they deserved a spot there, and it also helped that the other teams that were booted out were on the skid of sorts.
John, we talked about in the girls' top 10 a little bit that Mission Veterans was the team that cracked it in this week. Anything you want to say about the girls' top 10 and the changes we made?
No, I just feel like we know which team. The only team that fell out was La Jolla Palmview. I still think very highly of La Jolla Palmview. They lost to Rowe. I feel like that loss kind of gives you a better sense of what kind of team Palmview is. They're a good team. They're just not better than Rowe. There's no shame in not being better than Rowe. There's a lot of teams that aren't better than Rowe, but I kind of had some reservations about putting a team that placed third in a district that isn't as strong as some others in the top 10. And like I said, I've been to Mission Vet's last 2 games, and they're playing tremendous basketball right now on both sides of the ball. So,
Okay, so let's talk about the upset alert.
Oh,
Who is ready? Not Mario, I can tell you that. So let's go over last week first. John, you had Piaget Memorial over at Edinburgh North in the boldest upset call of all time. We were really rooting for you here at the RGV Sports Podcast, and did you come through at all?
I did not. Piaget Memorial lost 38-48 in that game. So
That is
that's not an
that's
upset.
pretty no, but that's like pretty close.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing with Piaget Memorial. They did go winless, but last year they lost a lot of games by 20 points. This year they were in a couple games situations where if they get a couple extra buckets, things go their way. That's when you start 4 sophomores, you're not going to win a lot of games, especially in this district where every team is so loaded. But props to Piaget Memorial for making it close and wishing the best of luck next year.
For your episode 1 pick, I wrote wrong. For your episode 2 pick, I wrote nailed it. And for your episode 3 pick, I wrote wrong. And for this one, I'm going to put good effort.
Okay.
I think that was a fair, for a team that was, they were winless, right?
In district, they were 0-11 up to that point. That was their last game. They had to win that one.
To be within 10 points against a playoff team, that's not bad.
Yeah, sure.
That's not bad.
Sure.
Do you have an upset pick looking ahead to the playoffs?
I do.
so he's 0-2-1.
He is 0-2-1 indeed.
That's a tie. There you go. My upset. Whoever Mercedes plays in the by-district round, it's going to be Roma or Edinburgh Vella, either one of those games. I know. Can we do this? Can this count?
Sure, I don't
I'm
care.
putting whoever Mercedes plays in the first round, I'm putting on an upset alert. And it goes back to something I've said time and time again with Mercedes. Yes, they're good. Yes, they're going to win a lot of games. But I wonder how we're going to contextualize some of these games because they're in a district that is not strong. As I mentioned, Donna North, Piaget Southwest, and Brownsville Porter all finished 2-12 in this district. That's 3 teams that combined to go 6 of 36. That is a 14% winning percentage. I don't know how playing those teams. That's 6 games right there, Greg, that you're playing.
Right.
They're almost automatic for you. And I know that's not Mercedes' fault. You play who you got to play. but I don't know how playing those games gets you as ready as saying Vela playing Rio Grande City, Mission Vets versus Vela, Rio Grande City versus Mission Vets, or any of those games, And this is something that goes beyond just girls basketball. Whenever 32-5A goes up against 31-5A in playoffs, it seems
in any sport.
In almost any sport, it seems to favor 31-5A. It seems like 31-5A schools have a bigger collection of talent to use at their disposal for athletic endeavors, right? Like in football, in the last 2 seasons, 31-5A is 7-1 against 32-5A teams. There's a reason why last year, 32-5A teams got swept in girls basketball in the first round by 31-5A teams. And speaking of Mercedes, their coach knows about this. Their coach Monica Mesa was an assistant at Sherryland last year. Sherryland was about a 7-5 team in 31-5 a year ago. They were good, not great, but they crushed Mercedes, who won the district championship. And Mercedes only lost 1 game in district last year. Crushed Mercedes in the first round by 30 points. It wasn't even close. It made Mercedes were district champions, and they looked like a bunch of nobodies in that game. And so it happened in boys basketball. There's a reason why in track and field 32-5A doesn't want to area meet with 31-5A, because 32-5A kids aren't as fast as 31-5A kids. And so if we're going to, give props to Mercedes and these other 32-5A teams, we have to contextualize some things. And I'm not willing to give any of these 32-5A teams the benefit of the doubt or call any of these games automatic. And even if it's Mercedes and they go undefeated, so whoever they play, it is not an automatic. And Coach Mason knows this. I've talked to her, and I think one thing that's really going to help 32-5A next year is the arrival of Brownsville veterans in all sports, because Brownsville veterans, despite having some smaller numbers, they've competed very well across the board in 6A. And I think having them in this district in football and all other sports is really going to boost up some competition for teams like Mercedes and Ed Couch and Donna.
But for the time being,
upset alert. Mercedes is put John upset alert. And again, we don't know who they're going to play yet, but whoever they play is going to be a tough matchup.
Now, Mario, I have to respect you, which is not something I like to do. You picked Edinburgh High over Westlake East last week.
Oh, by the way, if I get
Context.
if I get my upset of the week right, does that mean I get to go to Red Lobster?
I will give you a high five, and then you can eat wherever you please.
Okay. Anyways, upset of the week.
He had Edinburgh High over Westlake East, and you may remember that we thought he was dumb because he picked a team that was 6-3 to win at home against a team that was 6-2. Well, when your upset pick wins by 19 points, 55-36, I start to feel a little bit better about the pick. At least it was convincing. If you're going to pick an upset that's not really an upset, at least it was one-sided. And they were as dominant as they would have had to be for you to seem like you made a good pick. So I think I'll give you some respect for that.
Thanks, Rick.
Why was the team that is 6-3 able to absolutely trounce the team that is 6-2? Something wrong with Westlake East? Do we need to be concerned with them?
No, because it's Westlake East, and they have the kid who threw up a 3-pointer at the last second and won the game for them.
In your video.
And sent TSJ North spiraling because they lost 4 in a row after that, and essentially kicked them out of the playoffs, or out of the playoff run. Westlake East in that game was led by, I can't say his last name.
Covarrubias. Seems good.
11 points. Hasn't been among the scoring leaders recently. It's usually been Jonathan Munoz, who threw up the dagger, and then Jesus Ortiz, the Spanish David West, Edinburgh High.
Are they just hot right now, or what? How does this happen?
With what?
How does the team that's two teams that should be pretty even on paper, one beats the other by 19, are they just inconsistent, or is Edinburgh trending in the right direction, or is something wrong with Westlake East, or what?
Andrew Cantu had an Andrew Cantu game. He had 21 points. He's among the Valley leaders in scoring. RJ Roach had 15. They had 3 double-digit scores, and they held Westlake East to under 10 points in every quarter, except the last quarter. But Edinburgh High outscored them anyway, 17-13. So it seems like scoring was an issue for Westlake East. They only had 1 double-digit score, and it was from a player that's outside of their big 2 or 3 there.
So Westlake East ended up losing their next game, and then Edinburgh High lost their next game by 20. So that team, I guess, is just up and down. But this time you nailed it, huh?
Yeah. That's what I do, Greg.
That's what I do. So now you are wrong, and nailed it for a record of not as good as John. And for episode 5, your pick is what? I gave you a lot.
Good John.
We already did.
Okay.
I gave you so much time.
Okay.
John picked 2 teams. He didn't even pick one
Okay.
team. He picked
Can
a
I say
slash.
Sherryland losing by 15 to Vela is an upset?
What are you talking about?
Sherryland didn't play Vela?
You can say Sherryland beating Vela is an upset.
No. I think that we're going to be upset, or a lot of people are going to be upset at Vela if they don't beat them by more than 20.
So then it's not an upset pick.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. I will have.
John, you want to talk about Red Lobster?
I love their cheddar baked biscuits.
Is that the go-to item? Are you a seafood guy?
I'm not really a seafood guy. I mean, I'm from Indiana. You know, we're landlocked. There's not an ocean near us.
Right.
The only fish that I would eat occasionally would be catfish. I really don't. I only eat seafood when I'm by the coast, and since I'm down here in the valley and I'm by the coast, I will permit myself to eat seafood. Now, granted, Red Lobster is a chain, and I don't know quite where their food is coming from. But when I go there, I try to keep something light because I'm eating so many biscuits. I fill myself up pretty quickly with bread. You know, bread will fill you up quickly. Lots of carbs.
Right.
So I try to get something light. You know, like some grilled flounder or something.
Here's the thing. Lobster is a win.
Lobster is a win. That's true. And
Crab
it's
is
light,
a
too.
win.
Crab is a win.
Now,
Can you taste the difference though? Is there a different taste between lobster and crab to you?
Yeah, we'll see, because crab's going to have a lot of Old Bay sometimes, and lobster might have its own kind of seasonings. I think there's just a little bit of a different texture. And my family, my stepdad's family is from Maryland, so we go there for like a crab cookout, and they just bring you the crabs just boiled, and you have to crack the shells and stuff. That's
pretty brutal.
I mean,
do you ever think about that, like the way we eat like seafood?
Every time. I think about that.
You take something that's alive and it's probably petrified as to what's going on, and then you stick it in boiling water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you wait for it to just scream. Like it really doesn't scream, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
it's really horrific.
Imagine if lobsters ate people and they prepared us to eat the same way we prepare them to eat. Like we're just in this tank all day. And we're just what's gonna happen? And then when someone comes to get us, we think, oh, we're free. And then nope, puts you in a pot, and then they just boil us and crack our skin open and eat us.
Last thought: scallops pretty good with some pasta, and I'll eat a swordfish.
Mario, what's your swordfish is good.
Mercedes over
I'll
pace.
eat a swordfish.
Mercedes.
Is that not enough?
I gotta look at it. I'm gonna write it down.
Hashtag I'll eat a swordfish.
Number 2 at number 1.
Mercedes. Okay, you know what? Well,
Mercedes lost their first time.
What was the score the first time?
They lost by 2.
Mercedes was at home and they lost by 2. Okay, so Mercedes is going to win at pace.
The other one I had was Sherryland beating Vela at Vela, but I mean that's a little.
You're not actually picking that though.
That's my. I'm going on the record as saying it, so if it happens,
you want to be able to claim it. No, that's not happening. So Mercedes over pace, I will allow. It's not as outlandish as John's pick last week, but that's why he gets a tie regardless. Mm-hmm. And I think this one you probably need Mercedes to win by 5.
5.
Maybe if they win by 4, I'll allow it. If they win on the last second buzzer beater, you probably don't get credit. Oh, that's a decent pick. It's a decent pick. Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else you need to hit on before we get out of here?
I just got invited to a Facebook group for the 10-year reunion for my high school. I feel officially old now.
Oh,
maybe.
Are you going?
I have no idea.
Where's it going to be?
Will I go? I don't know where it's going to be. They haven't figured it out yet. It's not until 2017.
You know what? I've ignored this comment 3 times. Are there any guys?
Any seniors? Any seniors getting D1 offers? Any offers? I don't know about any offers for the Monitor. We only covered Division 1 offers, and as far as I know, for the girls' side at least, there's nothing in those regards. At least right now, I do see Coach Tidwell of UTRGV at a lot of games. Who coaches the girls' side? I see him at games all the time.
A lot of players end up there either in a walk-on capacity or, in the case of Evangeline and Villarreal, at least expected to contribute.
Yeah. So, but in terms of D1, I would be hard-pressed to see if anyone's going to...
Have you talked to any of the other, the top players just for features or whatever and asked them if they have any college plans at any lower levels?
I haven't right now. That's something I'll worry about once the postseason's over. Maybe ask while I try and figure out some of these playoff matchups. But as of right now, nothing that I'm aware of. If that happens, I'll try and keep it in the loop. Assuming I can let people know about it. Sometimes people don't want don't want that stuff out there.
Mario, any guys getting interest?
DJ Johnson is very interesting. I think he's the most likely to get one. I'm hearing rumblings from 2 to 3 schools, 1 local school, but nothing's on the record. No one when I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, he said he hadn't really committed to any school, but I don't know. I think he might stay in state.
Interesting. Okay, so now what else we got? Anything you guys want to hit on before we get on out of here?
I'm trying to think. Just it's already playoffs, and boys' playoffs are about another week away.
And then softball's coming up
Yeah,
Tuesday.
this season flies by. In terms of other sports, swimming and diving, we got plenty of Valley kids going to state. We'll be running features on them starting next week. That will be in Austin. It's February 19th and 20th, I believe. And Mario, you've got wrestling regionals. Kids looking to go to state in that regard too, right?
Friday, Saturday, the regionals. State is the following week in Austin too, the 19th and 20th. No, not in Austin. I'm trying to remember the name of the city. Cypress.
Okay.
We're going to have it in Cypress, and softball starts next week. They've already scrimmaged for a couple weeks. And there's 2 weeks of non-district / tournaments, and then district gets underway for softball. So I'm going to be juggling basketball playoffs, softball, non-district tournaments, wrestling as it winds down, and then the RGVFC soccer team as it opens in my backyard.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you have
There
it,
you go.
folks.
Also for track and field, meets start in about on Friday. Actually, they start Friday. You got 2 meets that I'm aware of. You got one in San Benito and one at Sharyland, and then there's another meet on Friday at PSJ Stadium in Far.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it.
Soccer's cool. The girls' top 2 actually play in a match Friday. That's Sharyland Pioneer and Sharyland High.
Cool.
Top 2 teams in our top 10 play Friday. And then Tuesday, I think it's our number 2 and our number 3 team, Sharyland High and Valley View, something like that. We'll also be playing on the boys' side. So a couple big games this week. I'm excited.
Yep.
All right, guys, that's everything, huh?
Yeah.
Well, when we join you next, the boys' playoff picture will be set. Yes.
It'll be a little more clear.
And the girls will be into the area around, and we'll see how many are.
Yeah, we'll see. Last year we only had one team go past the third round. It was go past the second round. That was PSA North. If any team's going to do it, I think the most prepared team to do it is Harlingen High.
So we'll figure that out next week, and until then, thank you for listening.
Yep. Nailed it. Any questions?
That's already on there.
He wants to know if we cover the. JP wants to know if we cover travel ball at all. I know you did a story on that sort of thing last
We
year.
do like features. We don't cover like games or anything.
Yeah, I mean, unless the monitor wants to cover for us to go to Vegas, I mean, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
I was actually going to have John do this year, but I guess because they're still figuring out playing games.
What do you ask?
We should do playoff brackets and see who gets it right.
Oh.
I was hoping you could do something like that, but because there's some play-ins and some things TBD,
Yeah.
it would have been tough to get it figured out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always make the playing games part of it. I mean, they do playing games technically the NCAA, but like they don't really count because they go up to like the 16 seed. But like here, I guess you could do it.
Do you want to do it right now?
Let's start at Kickstarter.
Sure. Here, I'll start. Got a pen? Anybody got a pen?
We should do that, right? Like Kickstarter or GoFundMe for the Vegas fund. For the monitor to go to Vegas. Yes, no.
Get the monitor to go to Vegas. Kickstarter fund. Let us cover. All right.
Let us cover the UTRGV Vaqueros.
All right. Playoff bracket. We'll include playing games. Seeding games we won't count. Well, I guess do we have to count them?
You make the rules.
Let's count seeding games too.
Sure.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Make it more interesting. So, are we doing all 3 of us?
I
Are
can
we
do
doing
one
this
if you
now?
draw it up. Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay.
That's not going to be that difficult.
Roma versus Vela. I'm taking Vela. Ed Couch versus Donna. I got Ed Couch.
Where can we find those, JP?
Hidalgo versus Rio Hondo. I'm going Rio Hondo.
Real hissy.
Rio Hizzy. Edinburgh Idea Quest.
Got it.
Edinburgh Idea.
Okay, don't even. What are you talking about?
Versus Brownsville Idea. We're doing all these games, right?
No.
I cover girls basketball.
Cut it off at Edinburgh Idea Quest.
So 4A, 5A, 6A. We're not
Yeah.
doing 3As, 2As.
Yeah.
But why? That makes it more fun.
Sure.
Let's just do it. I'm going to take Brownsville
We're
Idea.
in.
I'm going to take Brownsville Idea.
Can we restart the podcast?
Why?
I think this is funny.
Should be part 2. We'll just run this midweek.
Oh man, this is tough. Brownsville Vets versus Edinburgh High. Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna come back to that one. Harlingen High at Edinburgh North. I'm taking Harlingen all day. I feel like these two teams could play 10 times and Harlingen would win all 10 times. That's not a knock against Edinburgh North because they've got things that they do very well. It's just Harlingen is just
basketball.
Yeah. They've got some 3-point shooters and they've got some size, but they're not as consistent as they want to be. In Harlingen, talking about consistent. My goodness. PSA North, Harlingen South. Oh, that's tough. I'm going to go PSA North because I don't see them losing back-to-back games. And
Hell yeah, Greg can do whatever he wants.
Harlingen South can't. I don't think Harlingen South can keep up with PSA North in terms of their offense. I'm going to go PSA North. Memorial. We don't have all these games yet because Palmview and Mac High are still waiting on Laredo teams to play.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is it's tough because.
Well, we'll figure it out once we get there. After Saturday, we'll know everything. Memorial versus Laredo United South. Ooh, this is like the 5-12 matchup in the bracket.
Right.
The 12 sometimes gets the upset. You never know which one it's going to be. You know, Memorial almost beat Laredo United in a tournament game around New Year's, and Laredo United won that district along with Alexander. So if Memorial can hold its own against Laredo United, why can't they do their own against Laredo United South? I'm going to pick McAllen Memorial in an upset there. The game's in Roma Middle School. Roe
Top is going to die.
Uh-oh. Roe versus Del Rio. What do you guys think?
Del Rio.
Roe. Del Rio, this was the Del Rio team that beat Westaco last year at the playoffs. It was the second round.
That's why.
It's a different team. Oh, man, that's tough. I don't know. I'm going to come back to that one. I don't know anything about Roe. I mean, Del Rio, but I know plenty about Roe. Mission Vets, PSJ High. Mission Vets. That's going to be... PSJ High's coming off a bad loss to Donna North. Oh, a bad loss. And Mission Vets is playing...
What's up, dude?
It's just funny what he said.
And Mission Vets is playing great basketball right now.
Is there a good loss to Don North?
Huh? I mean, if you're like Brownsville Porter or PSU Southwest, sure. RGC versus Brownsville Pace.
RGC?
I have no idea. I'm going to go RGC. I don't know why. Pace didn't make the playoffs last year. So, Bankett versus Lyford.
What are you talking about?
Shh. We said we do 3A teams.
That's not even a dang school.
We said we...
Banquet?
Yeah, Banquet. I'm taking...
That's just a noun.
I'm taking Banquet. Santa Rosa versus San Diego. I'm taking San Diego.
All right, I'll look out for that, JP. Thank you.
I'm taking San Diego.
Seems like you know your stuff. I'm
Jagging
interested
it,
to see what
jaggedy smack. Jacking it in San Diego. Lavia versus Refugio. I'm taking Refugio.
2A.
San Perlita versus Port Arnassus.
Oh my god.
ESPN's got this.
What?
Teacher Johnson.
I'm taking Port Arnassus.
I mean, your boy had it like 2 months ago.
Who's that?
Me.
Santa Maria versus Agua Dulce.
They said he didn't have anything.
That's ridiculous.
Agua Dulce. I'm going to take Santa Maria. Why not? Give a 2A school some love. Santa Maria. All right, Roe versus Del Rio. That game is in Laredo. You know what? Let's look at Del Rio. Let's look at their...
Kawhi had a buzzer beater tonight? True.
Yeah, against the Magic.
No celebration afterward.
Shouldn't come to that.
Nah, in that game they probably just gave each other dap and walked off the court like it was no big deal. They don't care. Del Rio's only 6-4 in that district. They're 11-15 based off the... Ooh, I'm taking Roe. I think Roe's going to get that one. Brownsville Vets versus Edinburgh. Oh. Have they played each other this year? I feel like they played each other this year.
Yo, look at this kid.
Is Brownsville... I'm looking to see if Brownsville Vets might have played Edinburgh High in a tournament game. Because if that game wasn't even close, I'm taking whoever won that game by a substantial margin. This stupid page. You know what I hate about Max Preps? It's like you go to click something and then it jumps because of an ad.
Oh, I hate that about every website.
Oh, God.
And Max Preps does it like 3 times.
They beat Mission Vets, and they beat Corpus Christi Mission Vets. They have not played Brownsville Vets. Oh, man, that's tough. You know, it's at Edinburgh.
Gregors. Yeah, I don't really know where it comes from, how they do it.
I'm going to go...
But I mean, the reputable website has it.
You know what? I'm gonna stick with my side of the valley and pick Edinburgh. All right, here we go. Got it.
Okay,
All the teams.
I'm gonna keep this.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, JP. You're the man.
You are the guy. You're our guy.
We always have one or two. We end up with a couple signature fans, and you're one of our. You're our
If you can't
basketball
read,
fan.
if you can't read that, let me know.
Oh no, I got you here. I'm gonna keep track of this. You don't worry. You worry. You know what? I'll make my picks just for funsies. Mario, do you want to make some picks here?
No, it's 145.
All right, then get the hell out of here.
Okay. Our team.
Bella.
Adios.
You know what? I'm gonna go with.
I think it
I'm gonna
might
go
be
with Donna.
I game is at Donna. One of the players for Donna, their older sister, quoted my tweet and was like yelling at like Donna, like, y'all should never let this game happen in the first place. Y'all should have taken care of business throughout the season.
Edinburgh idea. See now, the cool thing would be if we can just do first round picks. That's fun. But if you could figure out the second round matchups and we could fill that thing in before.
Well, let me check the UIL. See, I don't think anything's going to be on UIL yet. UIL girls basketball bracket.
There's 6 people at 2 a.m. watching you guys talk.
There's 5 bots and JP.
I think one of them might be. I mean, one of them's my.
JP's gonna go all the way.
That's our guy.
He's a ride or die.
All right.
I think I'm going to stick with Brownsville. That's over at Edinburgh.
Regions 2 and 4 for 6A, 5A. I don't even think they have any of these updated yet. No, they'll have this all updated, I'm sure, by Monday.
So we can fill in on Monday before the games happen. We can fill in our second round picks,
Right.
and then we'll be ready to go.
How far? I'm trying to think. Are there any girls basketball teams that will go to the 4th round? I think
Harlingen.
I think Harlingen. It all just depends on matchups, on who gets who. But Harlingen is just—they're fantastic. I was so glad I got to watch them play this year. They're so good.
I don't know if I like this RGC team. I might pick Pace.
Most of our fan base is RGC.
Yeah, pick and pace. Pick and pace is no. That's not. I mean, that game is a 50-50.
Greg's picking Pace.
All right,
Where's the game?
it's at PSG North High School.
Neutral. I gotta go with Lyford. I don't know. Banquet's not even a school.
Let me see what Banquet did.
Santa Rosa's undefeated. Let's ride with them.
No, Santa Rosa is not undefeated. Santa Maria is undefeated. Santa Rosa is not undefeated.
Oh, I'm looking at the girls. I'm looking at the boys. Let's not pick Santa Rosa.
Yeah, don't pick Santa Rosa.
Unless Leo Laird's gonna suit up. That would be.
I'm
dope.
totally taking Lyford. I switch. I'm taking
can't
Lyford.
just pick
No,
different.
no. I'm taking Lyford. I didn't do my research. I'm totally taking Lyford. They're going to beat Banquet.
You're such a cheater.
I'm not a cheater. Lyford's going to beat Banquet.
You are the cheater of all cheaters. Somebody was talking smack about us, I think, a second ago, but I could have missed it.
Who's talking smack? Who's talking smack about RGV Sports?
Pharmacy school sucks, huh?
Who's throwing shade our way?
It's the other guys.
Port Bahrain.
Who wants to step to the RGVSports.com podcast?
See you in the streets.
I'm a grown-ass man.
I can't take what's agua dulce, Mario?
Water candy.
I can't take water candy in this game. Can't do it.
Water candy? That's really what their name is?
I can't take water candy in this one.
Don't say. Water candy. What's their team name? Here, let me look at that.
The water candy what?
Agua.
RGP.
Hold on, we gotta get to the bottom of this.
That's a literal translation.
The water candy Longhorns.
Water candy Longhorns.
The water candy Longhorns.
See you
All right,
next
guys.
week.
See you.